Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. We continue reading from the 40 Principles of Religion, Arba'in fi Usul Din by Imam Al-Ghazali rahimahullah. And the very last thing that we have read yesterday was the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Satan flows through the son of Adam like the flow of blood. And the context for that hadith is that the Prophet ﷺ was speaking to one of his wives, and a companion passed by, and he greeted him. After he passed, the Prophet ﷺ called him and he told him, so and so. He called him by his name, and he told him, "This is my wife, Safiya." And the companion, of course, said, "Oh, Messenger of God, I would not, if I would not have thought this about you." That's the context. But the wider context is that don't put yourself in a place of accusation. And now continue reading. And we are still reading about the relationship with the general public, really, with people. And the next one is to be at the service of people. ومنها أن تسعى في قضاء حوائج المسلمين ولو بشفاعة. Also among them is that you hurry to fulfill the needs of Muslims, even by merely interceding. And interceding here, the shafa'a, is really in good deeds and in that which is lawful. You never intercede for something that is haram. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Intercede with me for one another and be rewarded. For indeed, I want to do a thing, but put it off so that you may intercede with me and be rewarded." اشفعوا إلي تؤجروا فإن أريد الأمر فأخره كي تشفعوا إلي فتؤجروا. It's a sound tradition, and there are various texts of the same tradition. The next one is practically follows the same ethos, if you will. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Whoever moves for a moment during the night or the day to fulfill his brother's need, whether he fulfills it or not, is better for him than seclusion in a mosque for 2 months." And there are other texts for the same tradition. In Sahih al-Bukhari, اشفعوا تؤجروا ويقضي الله على لسان نبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم ما يشاء. So this might cover the like, of course, when we say al-Bukhari, that it has precedent because of its authenticity. Do intercede, you'll be rewarded, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will dictate through the tongue of his prophet, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reveal, will inspire his prophet to do that which is right, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wills, ما يشاء Allah. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Imam Al-Ghazali mentions, it's simply a series of traditions, one after the other. He said to stand to stand with your brother for a moment. To stand with your brother for a moment is better than your seclusion in a mosque. A seclusion, what sometimes we say in English, a retreat. Okay, in a mosque for a year. Now, there are a couple of traditions. In fact, the previous tradition from Sahih Bukhari suffice it. Yeah. Okay. From the text of the Bayhaqi of the Hadith, من مشى في حاجة أخيه وبلغ فيها كان خير له من اعتكاف 10 سنين. Whoever basically fulfills the need of his brother, you exert effort in fulfilling your brother's need, and you achieve it, it'll be better than the i'tikaf, dedicating time in a mosque for 10 years. Another part of the relationship with people is to initiate greeting. Also among them is to initiate greeting every Muslim with peace by shaking his hand, so that you will have the virtue of starting. ليكون له فضل البداية. Don't wait, especially don't wait because you think the people owe you salam, though it has been said, since we talk about who should initiate the salam, the young should initiate the salam when the other person is an elderly person older than them. The one who's riding should basically initiate the salam when he's addressing someone who's walking on the ground. So there are certain contexts, but don't think about it in this fashion. The idea is just initiate, and as long as we spread salam amongst us, we are doing well, inshallah. And don't say, I don't know this person. You are walking. We do practically every day. We walk to the mosque, we walk to our jobs, we walk to visit families, or maybe simply to go and run errands, as we call. Just simply say assalamu alaikum. It's beautiful. Initiate. So that you'll have the virtue of starting. The Prophet ﷺ said, if two Muslims meet and shake hands, 70 portions of mercy are divided between them. 69 are for the most virtuous of the two of them. The traditions that are okay. First of all, amongst the traditions that could cover the serving your brother as fulfilling his needs, there's a hadith muttafaq alayhi by Bukhari and Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said, من كان في حاجة أخيه كان الله في حاجته. Another hadith, والله في عون العبد ما كان العبد في عون أخيه. من كان في حاجة أخيه كان الله في حاجته. He who fulfills the need of his brother, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will fulfill his need. Now, إذا التقى المسلمان فتصافحا, rather than the the phrase just keep the first phrase إذا التقى المسلمان الصفحة and we continue تحاتت عنهما ذنوبهم كما يتحات عن الشجرة اليابس ورقها. This is a sound tradition that if two Muslims meet and they greet each other and they shake hand, their sins will fall from them the way the leaves fall from a dry tree. Say, for example, in autumn, when the leaves fall, simply a breeze, you can see the leaves falling. This is the way the sins fall. And another tradition, keep the first phrase again. إذا التقى المسلمان الصفحة, when two Muslims meet and shake hand, إلا غفر لهما قبل أن يفترقا, except that they will be forgiven before they are separated. And you know very well that the Prophet ﷺ will not really withdraw his hand until the other person draws his hand. He will not be. This is really prophetic, adab. Also among them is that a person should aid his brother in his absence and defend his honor and his wealth. The Prophet ﷺ said, there is no Muslim person who supports a Muslim when his honor is disparaged or his sanctity is violated, except that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will support him when he would love to be supported. There is no one who forsakes a Muslim whose sanctity has been violated, except that Allah will forsake him when he would love to be supported. The text is, of course, it encourages us to defend each other, to defend each other's honor, whether it's directly being hurt or physical attack, or a moral a context, for example, backbiting. Always defend your brother. But the chain of narrators of this particular hadith is weak. Also, among them is that you stay away from unsavory people so as to be safe from them. Aisha radiallahu anha said, a man sought permission to see Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so he said, give him permission. For he is extremely unlikable. فبئس أخو العشير. بئس أخو العشيرة. When he entered, the Prophet ﷺ spoke gently to him, until I thought, this is Aisha speaking, until I thought that he had some sort of status. When he left, I asked the Prophet ﷺ about what had just happened, and he said, "O Aisha, truly the person is the person in the worst position with Allah on the day of the resurrection is he whom the people abandon in order to get away from his vileness, his evil." This hadith is agreed upon by Al-Bukhari and Muslim, muttafaqun alayh. And such a person is in the worst position on the day of judgment. من تركه الناس اتقاء فحشه. Yes. The Prophet ﷺ also said, whatever a person does to protect his honor is an act of charity for him. ما وقى المرء به عرضه فهو له صدقة. The meaning, it could also be that if there is someone who has a sharp tongue, someone who is I'm going to give an example. It's not a personal thing, but I have just noticed that there is a young man who videotapes himself in different airlines flying, and he flew in three. I saw him in three different videos because the title is a negative title about these three airlines, and I know for sure that the title that he gave the videos is simply as if in a systematic way he flies in Arab and Muslim airlines and he gives them bad reviews. There's nothing to warrant that kind of. In fact, you know, at least one of them is a world-class airline. So such a person, if you, I don't know what is it, but it could be that he's looking for some financial, we cannot call it reward, but maybe he's pushing the button so that he will be given some money so that he would shush. So you can translate this into a personal. In the past, some poets would be given some money so that they will not, write poetry against a certain ruler. Some of them it would not be warranted by. Mutanabbi is known to have praised Kafur al-Akhshiri. Then when he was not given money, he lambasted Kafur al-Akhshiri, and he wrote one of the most racist poems in the history of Arabic literature. لا تشتري العبد إلا والعصا معه إن العبيد أنجاس المناكير. It's racist to the core. So if you do spend money, it is for you sadaqah in this context. And then another hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, mingle with people with your bodies, yet be separated from them with your hearts. And it all depends on the this might not be a hadith because it has been narrated موقوف على سيدنا عمر رضي الله عنه. Okay. Wallahu alam. But the meaning is that you could be in a context where there are people, but your hearts are not with them. You have been separated. You have the higher moral grounds. Another area also among them is that you be cautious of sitting with the rich and sit frequently with the poor. the the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, Imam Al-Ghazali dealt with this issue, and we, more than once, and I have addressed this issue, and when I read certain traditions that are not sound traditions about the rich. We know very well that Sayyidina Uthman ibn Affan, radiallahu anh, he was rich. We know very well that Sayyidina Abdurrahman bin Auf was rich. You don't really put this category. It depends. It depends why you are sitting with the rich, because also I think this is really the issue, and the traditions that speak about the rich crawling to paradise are not sound traditions. The Prophet ﷺ said, and I don't think this is. There's an alternative to this that we will mention, inshallah. إياكم مجالسة الموتى. Beware of sitting with the dead. It was said, and who are they? He said, the rich. That's not the, again. There's a hadith narrated by the Sayyidah Aisha, radiallahu anha. She said that the Prophet ﷺ told her, if you want to follow me, it should suffice you out of this world the what a traveler what a traveler has in terms of sustenance, in terms of and people who travel usually light, no matter even if you take how much you can take with you on an airplane, for example, today. It depends. Some airlines will allow you 2 bags. Okay, and that's about 40 kilograms of clothing and stuff, compared to what you have at home, compared to what you hoard. Some people simply find it fulfilling. At any rate, in the rest of the hadith, part of it at least says that do not consider a dress thawb really worn out until you patch it. Again, another hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, اللهم أحيني مسكينا وأمتني مسكينا واحشرني في زمرة المساكين. Oh Allah, make me live as a poor person, make me die as a poor person, and raise me up in the company of the poor. This has many meanings. If you don't own much, you will be held accountable to less. If you own more, you'll be held accountable on the day of judgment for that which is more. From where did you gain all this money? How did you spend it? And whether you whether basically the source of it was halal and whether you have spent it in a halal way. Also, it has the a beautiful message for the it should be contextualized. I think it has a beautiful message in support of the poor. Uh, when the Prophet ﷺ says that he wants to be amongst them, it does provide comfort. What we have today, yes, there are people who suffer around the globe. You have a billion people without fresh water, a billion people without sanitation, a billion people who are literally illiterate, a billion people who subsist. They used to say $1 a day, then they said $1.25. Then, but regardless, one might think of the Prophet ﷺ leaving his home at night because he was hungry, and he would find his companions also being hungry. And Aisha anha said at one point that there were 2 months in which she did not, neither her nor other wives of the Prophet, they did not really, ignite fire for cooking, and they subsisted on water and dates, except a gift when one of the companions from amongst the Ansar of Medina would send a gift of milk to them. 2 months without cooking. Things were a bit tough for that early generation of Muslims who sacrificed so much so that we will be where we are today. Subhanallah. They were persecuted, they suffered, they paid a very high price. No prophet was ever welcomed with open arms. Next, we move from the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ to a couple of a narrative about Sayyidina Sulaiman alayhi salam, a narrative about Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam, and we would stop right there after these two narrations. Whenever Sulaiman alayhi salam saw a poor person in the mosque, he sat beside him and said, "A poor person sitting beside a poor person." And Sayyidina Musa alayhi salam said, "My God, where should I seek you?" Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, "With those whose hearts are broken for my sake." And in fact, one should really be in such company. Yes, this is why when Imam Al-Ghazali was asked to return to teaching after his 11 years journey to purify his heart, he gave up his position and distributed his wealth in Baghdad, and practically he lived a life incognito, went to Damascus and to Jerusalem, to Hebron, to Mecca, Medina, 11 years, and ultimately he was asked by Fakhr al-Mulk, son of Nizam al-Mulk, the Wazir, he asked him to return to teaching, to teach at the Nizami of Nishapur. First phase was teaching at the Nizami of Baghdad, stud. So Imam Al-Ghazali asked Arbab al-Qulub, the lords of the hearts, but that obviously he's referring to to Sufi masters whether he is fit to teach. But it's I think the birds of feather here, the feathers are the hearts. People of similar hearts do flock together. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.